So we're going to go over installing the skid plate package on this TYM T25. Before we do, I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about some of the options that there is when purchasing. Now, I wanted to try to see if we could get the skid plate to fit with and without the backhoe. We were not able to do that on this chassis. There isn't enough room down there. There's nothing for us to really attach to. So on our skid plate, we actually had to utilize the same mounting points as the subframe for the backhoe. And that means if you have a backhoe and you want to be protected with a skid plate with the backhoe on and with the backhoe off, you will need two separate skid plates. They are different. One of them will bolt onto your backhoe subframe and it'll stay there all of the time. One of them will go in place of your subframe, and that will be the one that you put on the machine when your backhoe isn't on. Now, because of that, if you have a backhoe, this looks familiar. If you don't have a backhoe, you don't know what this is. So this is a mount for your backhoe subframe. If you have a backhoe, your machine comes with it. If you do not, you will need to purchase this in order to use the skid plate. The reason for that is we actually use the same mounting point for the skid plate on the front as we do the backhoe subframe. So this point right here, our skid plate will slide into, and then it's got some bends along the side of it that'll prevent it from sliding back and forth. It's got a little bit of movement side to side, but not a ton. So we do have these as an option, and this is that extra option when you're checking out, and it's asking if you either have this backhoe subframe piece or not. But I just wanted to kind of explain the differences between the different variations. So we'll have the skid plate, and then the skid plate that's designed to mount onto the backhoe, and then we're going to have this piece, which comes in a 2-pack. It's pretty easy to install. Now, we won't be installing it on this tractor because it already has them, but what we will do is we'll just show you where it is, and it's, as you can see, 3 bolts. You remove 3 bolts, put this on, put your 3 bolts back in. Skid plate. As you can see by me holding it, it's not insanely heavy, but you don't want to be laying on the ground trying to lift this thing up and above your head. So if you see here that it's thicker towards the top and towards the bottom, what that thickness is for is to align with the slot on here. So that will just slide in place right there. We'll have another one slide in place on the other side. On the back side of this, you'll see that there's a hole on the side. The front slides into place, and the back down here in this hole pins into place. So if you have a backhoe on your machine and you're taking your backhoe and your subframe off and installing the skid plate, you don't need any tools to do so. There's 2 pins on the back that you'll just pull the cotter keys out of and pull the washers and the pins out. You'll slide this into place, so you're going to slide it under the machine and up into those backhoe subframe mounts. And then you'll lift the skid plate up and pin it into place, which means it's really fast to remove this when it comes time for any kind of service or work underneath the machine. So, very convenient. All I'm going to do is drop the skid plate down into the ground. Because we're over here in the grass, we don't have to worry about this sliding on rocks or concrete and getting a bunch of scratches or gouges in it. But if we were on concrete or rocks, rather than slide this onto the machine, I would just lay this on the ground and back the machine over top of it.
Nice.
We laid a ratchet strap down underneath the machine. When we slide the skid plate in, we're just going to want to make sure that we go over top of the ratchet strap of the skid plate. And we're going to go up over the floorboard and back to itself, and we'll actually tighten that ratchet strap to lift that skid plate up into position so we can slide it forward into its mount. You may need to adjust the skid plate side to side. Because half it's already supported, it's pretty easy to just come back here and lift it and install the pins. So this tractor does not have the linkage on the back of it right now, but generally your 3-point linkage would go right here. And this pin would hold your 3-point linkage in place. Now this skid plate is going to mount to the same location. So you're going to be able to just slide up with the skid plate and pin it in place. You'll pin both sides and your skid plate is entirely installed. Once both of your pins are in and your clevises are back on, you can resume normal operation. You can pull the ratchet strap off and your skid plate is fully installed. Now, if you ever need to remove it in the future, it's as simple as just pulling the 2 pins out, pulling the skid plate straight backwards, and it'll drop right to the ground. You can get in and do all of your service and maintenance on the machine.